during these times, it's difficult to take time away from your families, and so we want to again say thank you for your commitment to our community. I hope and we hope that your families are doing well, everyone is safe, and that you're getting through this without too much difficulty. As always, we are a team, and we're always here for each other. And so anything that is needed, please feel free to reach out, and we will absolutely be here for you. I would ask that we all give some grace during this meeting. This is the first time trying this, and so there will be hiccups. And again, please just be patient with each other, and we will we'll all get through this. I wanted to, Pat, if you are on the line, would you please do a roll call, formal roll call of our steering committee members?
So just really quickly, Bill, I just wanted to, I hear an echo from you, Bill. Let me mute you for 1 second. So for those who for those who are unaware, we are going to be recording this web conference that we are having. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that. Right now, what I'm going to do in order for Pat to do a roll call, I do have to unmute everyone to do that because there are numbers that I don't recognize from steering committee members. So I'm going to be doing that right now. So, okay, go ahead, Pat, go ahead and do your roll call.
Okay, welcome everyone. Please confirm with yes, as I call your name. Bill Knowlton, are you present and able to speak? Yes, he's there.
I'm here, yes.
Thank you. Bishop Chris Baker. All right, he sent me a message saying that he was going to join the call in about 5 minutes, so we'll check again later. Member Denise McCoy.
If you are on the phone, please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Denise McCoy.
Hello?
Are you hearing us? Okay. Let me go to Gary Johansson.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Denise. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm here.
Welcome, Gary.
Welcome.
Rhonda Henderson, are you present? Shirley Banks, are you present? Stephanie Williams, are you present? Tito Hung, are you present? Vincent Valdez, are you present?
Yes.
Okay, Vincent, I hear from you. I have 5 members present. We are not a quorum. Janice, can you proceed and check within the Sac Metro Air District staff?
Yes. For Sac Metro Air District, is Board Member Chair Eric Guerra on the line?
Yes, here. Thank you. And unfortunately, I'll be stepping off briefly here.
Okay. Director Alberto Ayala?
I'm here. Hello, Janice. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Amy Roberts?
Yes, I'm here. Thanks, Janice.
David Yang,
Hi, Janice. I'm here.
Jaime Lemus,
Yes, I'm here.
Jamie Arno,
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I'm here.
John Henkelman,
Hello, I'm here.
Levi Ford,
Hi, Janice, I'm here.
Mark Lautzenheiser.
Thank you, Janice. I am here.
Okay, and then I will also do a really quick roll call for CARB staff. Karen Buckley,
Here, Janice.
Jennifer Magana, Dave Ridley,
Here, Janice.
Hi Dave, Samar Lichtenstein,
Hi, Janice. I'm here.
Veronica Eady. Okay, great. All right, is there anybody
This is
else?
Veronica.
Oh, hi Veronica.
Hi.
Okay, is there anybody
Would you give me
else from
Dennis?
CARB staff?
We'll go from there. Or do you
Eric Vissinger.
All right, I did the roll call for CARB and for Air District. Back to you, Pat.
Have we seen any other members sign in of the steering committee?
Can you hear me, Pat?
I can hear you now, Chris. Okay, Chris.
Okay.
Chris Baker, you are here. That makes a quorum. We are now at a quorum.
Okay.
Hey, Pat.
Yes.
Hi, this is Shirley.
Oh, welcome, Shirley. Thank you very much.
Okay, I can't seem to get my picture to come up. I see you, but I have the South Sacramento Community Air Protection Steering Committee back on.
That's
okay,
the proper slide you should have.
Okay. Am I supposed to see everybody's picture?
No.
Okay, just you. Okay, here I am.
All
Hi,
right.
Shirley.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Janice. I made it.
Great. Okay, so I just want to also announce that if there are any technical issues, we have some staff online that can help people offline. If you do have any problems, you can feel free to call David Yang. His number is 1-916-874-4847. If you don't have, you can also make your screen full to make the presentation bigger if you all need to. And I will pass on to Ariel to do the review of the agenda and code of conduct.
Okay, excellent.
So I'm going to go
everyone.
ahead.
This is.
Sorry, Ariel. I'm going to go ahead and put everybody on mute except you. Okay, Ariel, go ahead.
Great. Hi, this is Ariel Ambrewster. Janice, could you proceed the presentation to the next slide? And I'm with Sacramento State University. I'm the facilitator for the group. So I just wanted to orient you to what we're about today. You know, our main focus today is, well, there's a twofold focus. One is to bring us all into this new way of interacting, and the other
Ariel, we have lost you. I cannot hear you right now. Ariel? We cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Great. Okay. There was a little, I was removed and then brought right back. So we'll see if that happens again. If it happens again, I'll call in. Okay. So we'll have a logistics overview of IT. And next, there will be an administrative piece. And so that'll be about 15 minutes. Then the bulk of the meeting will be the camp piece. So there'll be an overview of camp materials, about 20 minutes. We'll have a 5-minute break so you can stretch and move around a little. And then we'll have 40 minutes devoted to questions, comments from the steering committee members, and then 10 minutes for public comments, and then 10 minutes for the new business item. And Pat will be talking about that once you get to it, but that's how you help to build your future agendas. And then we'll be adjourning at 8 o'clock. And then I just wanted to review your code of conduct. We're in a little bit of a different situation now, meeting remotely. And so we do want to be able to hear all perspectives. All perspectives are welcome, but we want to be able to work cooperatively with each other, be respectful of other points of view. So the Code of Conduct suggests that we communicate openly and directly about our perspectives. And in terms of being respectful of other points of view, people may have different interpretations of what that means. Just as an FYI, for our CARB AB 617 processes, we define that as assisting keeping a respectful and productive atmosphere. We can respect others even when we disagree with their views, and to refrain from accusations, innuendo, personal attacks, or maligning others' motivations or perspectives. And because we're not all able to see each other today, I can't tap somebody on the shoulder, and I might be off again. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. So I will just be verbally noting if I'm hearing something to help reorient someone towards being, respectful. And other items of the Code of Conduct, be flexible and open to change and new ideas. Listen attentively. If we can all listen to each other to try to get where people are coming from, that can really help to bridge some of the divides. Stay on task and assume positive intentions of others, and be solution focused. So that's your Code of Conduct. And lastly, make decisions based on what is best for children and families in this community, and not on personal agendas. And you do all have that focused goal of really trying to help the community. So with that, I will turn it over to David Yang, and he will be going over IT issues.
Thank you. Janice, can you move to the next slide?
It moved over, David. Do you see it?
I do not see. I still see the agenda slide.
Okay. Do you see it now? Does everybody see the logistics slide? If you're following over in the hard copy, it's slide number 3. Do you see it, David?
I see logistics.
Okay, you see logistics.
Yes.
Okay. So, Janice has mentioned this before. This is our first web-based meeting. We help prepare for this meeting. We reach out to the steering committees to hopefully resolve any technical issues before this meeting. But if there are still any issues that you guys are running into, please feel free to reach out to us. You can call me directly. My number here is 916-874-4847. So today's meeting will be giving presentations and also time for discussions. Steering committee discussion will happen after the community air monitoring plan presentation and during new business agenda items. So during that time, if anybody's interested, and anybody's interested and wants to provide comment or questions, you could request to be put on the list. But we will also there's a couple ways to get onto that list. The first way is if you're using the web application, there is the instant messenger, and we have a symbol on the logistics slide that you can click on, and it opens up the instant messenger box where you could enter a message, and if you want to be on the list to provide comments or questions, go ahead and enter that. And we will be opening this when we are having steering committee discussion or during the public comment. And this is to ensure that we don't miss anything or don't miss anybody who's interested in providing comments. Another way to get onto the list is through is that you could email me directly. It's dyang@airquality.org. In the subject line, just say you have a question or comment, and I'll put you down on the list. Another way is you could call me. Again, my number is 916-874-4847. But if you're using a phone and the phone is the only way to listen to the meeting, we will be opening up the lines and asking if people on the phone are interested in providing comments or questions. And when there's that opportunity, we could take your name down and you'll be part of the list. So when you're called upon, please unmute yourself on the app or on phone. To do it on the app, there is a microphone button on the bottom of the screen that you can unmute yourself. For phone, you just need to enter *6. If you're using both the web application to look at the presentation and the phone, you have to unmute both devices. So just so that everybody's aware. So with that, I will pass it on to Mark to give an update on administrative items.
All right, David, I'm going to mute you and then unmute Mark.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Just at a very high level, there's a few things I just wanted to be able to share with everyone. First of all, I hope that both all the committee members, all the other members of the public that are on the call, we understand that this is sort of an unprecedented time and situation that we're all dealing with. We know that there are different levels of thoughts in terms of where we're at with COVID-19, just with the impacts. It may be impacting, I know it's impacting everyone. It may be impacting some of you even more personally than others. We just want to acknowledge, recognize that, and say that if there is anything that the team across the board, as a community, as a team, can help with, we want to do what we can. On that note, this is an unprecedented time that we are in. It is a different situation than where we were even just a couple weeks ago in terms of our meetings. And so, as was already mentioned by the chairs, we hope there'll be a little bit of patience as we work through some growing pains on this one. We know we're going to try and do our best here to work through this meeting and this process. And that's one of the reasons why this one is, it was always scheduled to be an informational meeting in terms of the camp, since we have been able to finalize up all the great information that the committee's been working on for the past year. But we do want to sort of hopefully find the best way to still allow everyone, both from the committee and from the public, to participate in this process. And so this is going to be a learning curve for all of us. And We know we may not get it right first thing out the gate, but we hope everyone will have the patience with us as we work through that and as we go through this virtual process, and for whatever length of time it may take us to work through the COVID-19 situation and just how long we may or may not need to be handling meetings in this fashion. A couple other things just at a very high level. I know a couple committee members already asked about this. Even before COVID-19 had come up, we'd already shared with the committee and those members of the public that attend the meetings that the proposed governor's budget did already have some reductions in funding and resources toward all of the 617 efforts. Obviously, all that's been, any new news on that has been put on hold in light of the COVID-19. But I think, if anything, we all probably can recognize that while we don't know what the final picture will look like, that COVID-19 itself is going to further, or could certainly further impact those dynamics. And so I do think it's, as we move forward with this group and this committee and wrapping up the camp and then moving forward and getting you guys data, we're certainly going to be doing our best to maintain as much of that advance as we have accomplished. Our goal is still to start collecting or continue collecting some of the immediate data and get in some of the more detailed data as we move forward, so that we'll have that information available for us, and then together we'll work through whatever the additional impacts are from a budgetary perspective. And at this point, we don't know for sure what those all will be, but I do think that there will definitely be some impacts for all of us in that regard, and so that may just impact a little bit on how much we're able to do moving forward and how quickly we're able to move forward on it. But our goal, of course, is still to be collecting information, getting information out to our community during this unprecedented event. Let me think real quick here. As you guys do know, though, we do already have some of the initial monitoring is out. All of the phase 1 is out. Just a quick update in terms of the phase 2. We have been moving forward on the phase 2 to the extent we can. We are running into some additional delays, though, with the COVID-19, just even having access to some of the different areas. We still have permission. It's just now actually having access and people on site that can allow us there to get equipment installed for that phase 2. So once we are able to get the phase 2 fully in place, though, we'll start collecting that data as well. And again, I think we just want to acknowledge and recognize that everyone's sort of in a different situation with the COVID-19 and how it may be impacting their families personally. Hopefully we can go ahead and find a way to make this as effective as possible for all of you as you move forward on wrapping up the camp and then moving forward on many of the next steps that have been identified by the committee of areas of interest, getting some technical guidance once the data starts coming in, how that information can be helped used by the community moving forward. With that, I'll go ahead and turn over to the chairs in terms of the future meetings.
Thank you, Mark. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Pat.
Thank you. I just wanted to say I had sent an email out earlier to the steering committee members talking a little bit about what Mark just talked about, that we have some stark realities, the potential budget cuts to the state because of what's happening with us economically as far as the cost to the state and the medical expenses to the state due to COVID-19. My concern is that we get there, that we're able to finalize this camp, meet our deadline, the extension that we were getting to the end of May, so that we are in a position that we have completed our tasks, and as funding is available, that we are continuing to make progress in our monitoring and hopefully be able to move to our CERP. Bill, do you have any other comments?
Let me make sure Bill is unmuted. Okay, Bill, you are unmuted. Do you have any further things you want to add to what Pat said? Bill, you might have to unmute yourself.
I was just going to reiterate really what Pat said about getting the camp completed, hitting our goals, and moving forward. I just think it's important for us to stay on course, even though we have difficulties in communicating with each other and being with each other, which is difficult. But really keeping our eye on what our mission is, and really just staying together and working hard together.
All right. Janice, are you ready to move to the overview?
I am. Give me 1 second. So I'm going to put everyone on mute. Just ensure we don't have any background noise as people are calling in. So bear with me. I do have a couple of screens going on in my place. So what we wanted to do today is really to provide a brief overview on the materials that the steering committee has received, that you should all have received in your hands, and which is a draft of the community air monitoring plan and a summary sheet of the decisions that were made by the steering committee. And those two documents are really to help the summary sheet is to help the steering committee orient on what decisions were made and when, and how they were incorporated into the plan. We understand that this is a lot to go through, but in our presentation today, we wanted to make sure to call out some areas that you may want to focus on, answer any initial questions that you have, and provide any clarity on any items that you may need. And so if we can't answer your question directly today, we will be following up with you all at the next meeting for that. So I wanted to start off with a quick big picture about 617 and where we started, how it's changed the way that we are approaching improving air quality in our communities. The district has been monitoring for air pollution in Sacramento for over 3 decades. We operate, validate, and analyze daily over 100 measurements of air pollution or weather. And before AB 617 came along, the district was already very interested in understanding whether or not there were disproportionate impacts to our environmental justice communities, which prompted us to do a study on toxics from wood smoke in our environmental justice communities. So when AB 617 came along, we really saw this as an opportunity to dig in deeper, bring in resources to the community, and learn about the community's air pollution concerns, really the who, the what, and the where, and really how to best communicate air quality information to your community. And you really have provided us with these additional information that really help guided and shape this monitoring plan. The district has shared a lot of information with the steering committee over these past 16 meetings. We brought our expertise to the table and shared information about the new technologies that's out there, the different monitoring methods and strategies to address the community concerns that you have shared with us. But we have not been working in a vacuum. We have been working closely with CARB and their monitoring experts who has worked with all of these other AB 617 communities across the state, and they have also reviewed drafts of the plan along the way to make sure that we are meeting the blueprint requirements. We also have heard that there are desires from some steering committee members who wanted to utilize outside experts for additional review. So we have reached out to a few outside experts to see if they're available to provide additional review of the plan and be able to answer any questions from the steering committee members. So just a few people I wanted to mention. We've reached out to some folks over at the South Coast Air Quality District who runs their low-cost sensor testing program. Some scientists who's also worked on the wood smoke study that I mentioned earlier. And Dr. Anthony Wexler, who is the director of the Air Quality Research Center at UC Davis. I know that I had a conversation with Professor Wexler, and he also mentioned to me that Vincent has also reached out to him and that he wanted me to share that he is interested and that there may be a graduate student that may also be interested in participating. We've also reached out to EPA. Unfortunately, at this time, they're not available. They're not able to are available to review at this time. So when we get to the discussion portion, let us know if you have any other concerns or if there are other people that you want us to reach out to help facilitate that conversation. Okay, I'm trying to look at what slide I'm on. I'm on slide 7 with the title, for those who are on the phone, that says AB 617 Process and Next Steps. So where are we now after our, this is our 17th meeting. We are looking to finalize the plan at the regular May meeting. And as Mark mentioned, we have been already collecting phase 1 data, low-cost sensors, since last July. We have secured the phase 2 locations, and we're finalizing procuring the air monitoring trailer and equipment for phase 3. All of that is going to move into the middle part where we're collecting data to really understand the community air pollution sources. And with that, that can help us all learn more information to develop strategies and program to really reduce the air pollution burden in the community. So hopefully you all have received the CAMP materials. So you received the draft document and then you received the summary sheet like I mentioned earlier. I'm just going to go over these 2 documents. The first one, the slide that I'm on right now is slide 9 for those who are on the phone, which is a sheet of the summary of the steering committee meetings and critical decisions. This one's easy, so I'll go through this one really quickly. What this is on the left-hand side, you have the meeting date that we all met, the elements that were discussed in the second column during that particular meeting, and the third column is the critical decisions that were made during that meeting and where you can find that in the specific plan. In parentheses, like just take the meeting 1, December 11th, 2018. On the right hand, it says review draft charter, section 1.3. So this is really a guide to help you orient the decisions that were made and where you can find them in the plan. So that's the first sheet that you received. Secondly, you received the draft plan. It's just a little bit over. It's a little bit over 130 pages with the appendices. And the following slides, I will go over a very high overview of the different elements in the plan. So first, I wanted to make a point that this plan follows the CARB, the Air Resources Board Community Air Protection Blueprint. The CARB has provided a requirement guidance on the different elements that they're looking for in these community air monitoring plans. And so our specific plan follows, if you're looking at element 1, form community partnerships, you will find that in our plan as well. So you're able to take what's the book and the requirement and follow that in our plan. Okay, so the plan, I think I want to say like the first 7-8 pages is a executive summary of the content that is in the camp. You want to call it a quick Cliff Notes version of the plan. That's how we like to put it. And so if you want to read, just a quick overview before you dive in deeper, that's where you would start. Other than that, then you get into element 1 that really describes the community partnership with the district. And just to give you a sense, there are page numbers. And so when you are providing your questions or comments later on, please refer to them as so. So for example, element 1, which is section 1, page 1 to section 1, page 4, okay? So what is the reason for conducting community air monitoring? Elements 2 through 4 is really what gets to the heart of that. Most of the content in these sections are reflective of the decisions that the steering committee has made, especially meetings 1 through 8 through May of last year. We have also shared a draft to the steering committee members of elements 1 through 5. I want to say several months now, late last year. And so hopefully this has all given you some time to go through them and are comfortable with how we've captured your committee decisions and recommendation. All of these sections and the information that are in these specific elements should be familiar to most of you. And for those who are not on the committee during that time, we have also gone through these key decisions of the previous meetings during the new steering committee membership orientation. For those who are following on the phone right now, I am on slide 14, and it starts with my role is on element 5 and 8. So for element 5, it talks about, it discusses about the roles and responsibilities of the steering committee and the different agencies. Element 8 discusses about the priority monitoring areas and that the steering committee members have chosen and have identified and why each area was important. This section in 8 also goes into why the screening areas were important to help narrow down the locations for the mobile trailer to ensure that we're using data to inform the decision on where to place the longer-term monitoring trailer. These were discussed in meetings 6, 7, 8 of last year. I'm moving on to slide 15. Elements 6, 7, 9, and 11 really gets into the nuts and bolts of the daily operations of running the equipment. It gets to what type of equipment we're using, how we operate it, and the criteria we're going to be using to validate the data. It also talks about the deployment schedules. And I did want to call out to the steering committee members that there is some language in there to ensure that there is some flexibility due to unforeseen circumstances that we have no control over. situation such like we're in right now with the COVID-19 situation, such as access to locations and ability to have even a third party laboratory be able to analyze the samples that we send them. We will always be sharing any changes back with the steering committee members and whether things will need to be adjusted. For elements 12, is just what we discussed before, right before the holidays, where we're establishing metrics. And for those who are on the phone, I'm on slide 16. Element 12 is what we discussed before the holidays about establishing metrics on how we're going to determine whether or not we're making progress on the objectives that the steering committee has set. One example, that is the polling of the community to determine whether or not we have increased air quality awareness. So all of that's captured in element 12. Element 13 gets into the types of analysis that can help identify the key emission source categories and whether or not we see air quality trends in the community. Element 14 is the latest discussion that we had on the camp, which is really describing the tools that will be used to communicate air quality data and who the priority audiences are within the South Sacramento, within the community. And so with that covers elements 1 through 14 of the plan, which covers all the requirement elements that is set forth in the blueprint. So you have the camp. For those who are on the phone, I'm also on slide 17, and the title is Next Steps Towards Camp Finalization. So you have the camp, you have the summary sheets. What is next? The first step is a conversation, a discussion that we're going to have tonight, just to get some initial questions and comments about the materials that you received. Maybe if you had some questions about how the formatting was. Like I said, the goal for this particular meeting is to walk you all through what you have in hand and what you need for your review of the document. We understand, like I want to say that this is a very big document, so we didn't want to just mail it out and say, hey, go have at it. But although it's a big document, I think most of you will find that the content in there are going to sound very familiar to discussions that we've all had in this past year and a half. So really what we're trying to get at is we want to make sure that we've captured the decisions accurately, and that were already made by the steering committee during our meetings. So what we need to know, so if you are able to provide your questions and even initial questions and comments that you may have by the April 21st date, then that can also help us start preparing for the April 28th regular steering committee meetings. We'll be taking questions and comments and having discussion at the next meeting in 2 weeks. That's our regularly scheduled one. And but if you're able to bring questions to us sooner, then we're going to be able to help coordinate people, staff, outside people to help answer some of your questions, and it will give us sufficient time to prepare. For May 8th, we are asking for all comments on the camp to be submitted so that we can incorporate the comments into a final camp document, and then on the regular May 26th meeting, regular steering committee meeting, then we're going to talk about finalizing the camps and discussing some next steps with the steering committee. I am on slide 18. So with that, please feel free to call or email us with any questions or comments that you may have about the camp materials. David and I are your main contacts for this. We're open, anytime. But the best time to reach us by phone is Tuesday through Friday, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So you have our contact information on the slide. And so with that, okay. With that, we're even a little bit ahead of schedule. Okay.
So Janice?
Yes.
I would just like us to acknowledge, before we take a break, we will come back to a full discussion, correct? For all of our questions. But we do need to acknowledge who of the steering committee members have now joined us. Can I have the speakers open so I can find out, has Tito been able to join us?
I will unmute everyone because I don't know which number he is. I see Tito on the participation. Tito, are you calling in by phone or are you on computer? Okay. All right. I'm just going to unmute everybody for a second. Let me find it. Okay. All right, Tito, if you are on the phone, please press *6 to unmute yourself, or just unmute yourself on your regular phone.
Right. While he attempts to do that, has Stephanie Williams been able to join us? She did send a text saying that she was going to have to join us late, but that she did plan on joining the call.
For those who are steering committee members, you do have to unmute yourself. I have unmuted the audience, but you have to do it on your end as well.
So are either Tito or Stephanie on the line?
And just to clarify, it's a little blue circle with a little microphone in it with a line crossed out, and you click on that, or else *6 if you're on a phone.
Okay. Rhonda Henderson, have you been able to join the line?
I'm here.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Okay. Our plan now is just give everybody a little bit of a break. Get up, stretch, get yourself water, take a comfort moment, and then we're going to come back and have our questions. So those of you who are on a phone, make sure that you have either called in to David or sent an email with your question, that you're in line for a question. Those of you who are members who are on your computer, open up your message folder. Can you please describe that again, Janice, as to where they need to go to?
Sure. So what I have done, I have turned on the message feature. If you would like, if you are on the program, what you can do is that you can go to the little icon. Let me just go back to David's slide. Give me 1 second.
The little square box with the tail.
Yeah, it's a little square box. That's right here on the right-hand side. It's on the left-hand corner. And so if you're able to click on that, you are able to please type in your name, because sometimes for those who don't have names, we can't really tell. Type in your name, and I have a question/comment, and David will put you on the list. We are opening this up to the steering committee members right now. And when we have public comments, we will be doing the same. So right now, we're going to take the list of the steering committee members as we're going through the break. So feel free to do that when we're taking a break as well. We're going to be asking steering committee. Remember, we're going to be doing in the beginning. We're going to be doing a round robin with all the steering committee members, just to get your initial thoughts and any questions that you may have. And that's really to ensure that everybody has all of our steering committee members have an opportunity to share just initial reactions and what you might need for your review of the monitoring plan. With that, I think we can go to break, Pat.
Yes, let's take our 5-minute break. Tito has sent a message, so someone needs to follow up with him that he's having audio difficulties.
I'm good now, guys. I'm good.
Oh, you're
okay.
Good?
Thank you, Tito.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So while we take our breaks, it's probably good for each member to mute themselves so noises in our homes don't come into the.
I will mute everybody on my end, Pat. Thank you. Hi, everyone. This is Janice Lamsnyder with the Sacramento Air Quality District. It is 7 o'clock right now, so we are returning from our 5-minute break to our steering committee discussions. We have 40 minutes for this discussion. As I have mentioned, we are going to be doing a quick round robin for each of the steering committee members, and I'll hand it over to Pat to call on folks, since you seem to have the list of the people who have joined, and you were checking on that before I left. So Pat, you are unmuted on my end. David is collecting the list of steering committee members who have already expressed that they would like to speak. So David's going to be controlling the audio for participants moving forward.
Okay. Sounds good. This first bit is just give your quick reaction to the documents that we have. We will come back to get your detailed questions, your more detailed questions. So this is just about 1 minute per person right now, just to make sure we touch base with everyone. I'd like to start with Bishop Chris Baker. Are you on the line? Can you unmute yourself with *6?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. I think it's a good plan. I've read over some of it. It covers a lot that we've already went over, and due to the COVID thing, we just need to, it's going to get rough, but we just need to stay focused and see it through.
Okay, thank you. Denise McCoy, you're on the phone, *6 to open your line. We cannot hear you, Denise. Okay, I hear some audio. Denise, are you there? Okay, Denise, I'm going to come back to you. Gary Johansson, what is your comments? Make sure that you unmute yourself on the computer.
I'm here.
Okay.
I don't have any comments right now. I think I'm just getting used to trying to do all this.
Yeah. Okay. It's not easy. All right. Thank you, Gary.
All right.
Rhonda Henderson, do you have comments? Make sure you unmute your computer so you can speak. Okay. Rhonda Henderson.
You have to press the little mic button on the bottom, Rhonda. It's a blue round button.
Okay, we can hear something. Now we don't. All right, I'm gonna come back to you, Rhonda. Shirley Banks, can you unmute your speaker and give us comment?
Yes, I'm here, and no comments or questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley.
You're welcome.
Stephanie Williams, have you been able to join us? Tito, can you unmute yourself and give us your comments?
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm quarantined here in the office, trying to work my butt off, but I miss everybody. motivated, inspired as ever. If you guys can hang in there, I'll hang in there with you guys. No comment for now.
Thank you, Tito. Vincent Valdez, do you have comments? Don't forget to unmute your speaker on your computer.
Vincent, we are unable to hear you.
Try that mute button again. See if it unmutes. Okay. Well, we'll try to wrap back around with you. All right, Denise McCoy, once again, are you able to unmute your telephone with *6?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Here you are.
You can hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, all right. Is this the time that I'm to ask when the recording of this meeting will be made available and in what form?
We will certainly address that issue. I was thinking that we probably would address that at the end of the meeting. But did you have any others more specific to the presentation today or the packet that you received?
No. I will address my concerns at the next meeting.
Okay. All right. All right. Vincent Valdez, have you been able to get your sound working?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was still on break. I had a phone call.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay,
so I made a lot of notes. Camp theme, but I guess my number one concern would be the list of our concerns in element 3.
Okay.
And so there's 4 concerns on there. That's page 3.1 if anybody wants to go to it. I had it all in front of me a minute ago, but so our concerns start with outreach and they end with the monitoring. And so just to recategorize them, I sent them to David. Let me just pull the email up. I can just do it real quick. To recategorize them are
So Vincent, are you talking about concern 1?
Yes, concern 1. So ours is our number one concern is outreach, and in our community air monitoring plan, I believe it should be air monitoring as our number one concern. So our categories could be just switched around, and outreach I believe should be number 4 after we do emissions from Highway 99 traffic, emission impact from business, determine causes of high asthma and respiratory problems in the community, and then number 4 would be increase and inform community on air quality and have outreach efforts. So element 3, 3.1 has our concerns, but our concerns are in a different order than my suggestion, I guess. That's what it is.
Okay, so your recommendation, let me see if I've gotten that right. Your recommendation is that what we have right now as number 1 should actually be number 4, and number 3 should be coming up to number 1. Is that what you said?
Yes. Number 1 would be emissions from Highway 99 traffic.
Okay, so the concern number 2 would actually be your number 1. Okay, and then your number 3 would be, you would want to move up to number 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Question. This is
Yeah.
Rhonda. Were these necessarily in the order of priority, or just the listing of what we captured? I didn't take it to be like an order of priority.
Hi, this is Janice.
I'm sorry. So my concern number 2 would move to number 1. Concern number 4 would remove to number 2. Concern 3 stays 3, and concern number 1 down to number 4.
Okay.
I don't know if that helped.
That does.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying, Vincent. Just for clarity, we didn't order them in any particular order. I mean, it was just, there's 4 of them, and so we had to put them in, just a numbering form. But if the steering committee would like to reorder them as suggested, that is also fine as well. But just as we have written it, it is not currently in any particular order other than the fact that we had to discern the 4 different priorities.
Okay, good. So I just wanted to categorize them in an actionable form, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. I have no objection to that renumbering them. Vincent, did you have any other comments?
Well, just that same category of the way we have them in 3.1 is the same in 4.1, and then also the document, and then it changes in 13.1, changes into a different direction, and it lists, we're going to monitor the air, we're going to find what's in it, and then we're going to inform the community on 13.1. So just kind of maybe if it all aligned together throughout the document, it might be helpful. So.
Okay. Your comment is noted.
I did have one other thing in 4.4. I just read it wrong because it says things in different parts of the document. But is our air sampling going to be 1 every 6 days with the professional grade equipment?
What page are you on, Vincent, so we can join you with your question?
4.4.
You're talking about in phase 1, 2, or 3?
So 4.4, it is
duration of monitoring.
Yeah, it's duration of monitoring, and you'll find it under 4-5 on the bottom of the page. So I can answer that question, Vincent. That's a very good one. So for the enhanced screening, it is going to be a 1 in 6 day sampling for the toxics in six of the priority areas that we have identified. So that's gonna, those are the individual canisters and the filters. Then we'll have that information to inform us on where to locate the portable air monitoring trailer that will have 1 in 6 day sampling for toxic as well, but there's also going to be continuous daily monitoring for the longer term site. So you're correct in terms of the phase 2, the 1 in 6. Phase 3 allows us to do hourly concentrations as well as continuing some of the toxics monitoring for the 1 in 6 day as well.
Okay.
Janice, I'm sorry, this is Mark real quick. If it may be helpful, Vincent, one of the reasons we do the 1 in 6 is those are actually sampling canisters and filters that are then collected and sent off to a lab for analysis because they go into much more detailed analysis.
Is there going to be enough sampling, do you think, once a week, or That's going to be 5 times a month, right? In a 30-day month.
Approximately correct. And that's actually pretty consistent with more detailed toxic sampling even at the regular stations as well. It's both a frequency of staff, it's also the cost because we have to send each sample, it then gets sent off to a lab.
Right. Okay.
So, Vincent, we did, when we did the 6 months, we did ensure that there is enough samples so that it can be statistically, so that it can be representative.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think those were my 2 concerns with the camp. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Knowlton, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I do not.
All right. Let me go back once again. Has Stephanie Williams been able to join us? If not, everyone's had a chance. Rhonda Henderson, did you have a question?
I didn't. I think it was cleared up when I think Janice answered the concerns that Vincent had. They were never put in priority order.
Okay.
They were just listing of our
The
concerns. Yeah.
Okay. All right. But his is noted. I do have a question myself. This is Pat Shelby speaking for those of you who are on the phone. Janice, at one part you said language is included that is reflective of the flexibility of unforeseen events such as COVID-19. In element 12, actually in element 12 and in 14, we as a steering committee put some constraints on ourselves to make sure that we were timely about community meetings and other ways of getting out to share this and help educate the community. In this environment of COVID-19, I have real concerns that we as a committee are going to have to practice that flexibility and perhaps come up with other ways of making contacts in our community. I don't know how much schools are going to be permitted to have large meetings, community meetings, that type of thing. I don't know how our senior community members were part of our outreach to go to the senior community centers and to their homes. All of those things are pieces that we're going to have to really look at as we move forward. How we're going to be able to do that effectively with constraints and proper PPEs or whatever if we needed to go into communities. But that was my notation. But I was wondering, Janice, specifically, were there areas in this report where the language was specifically offering up that flexibility?
Yes, so we did do that for the monitoring schedule, like we talked earlier. We also did that for element 14, which is exactly the section that you're referring to. So we also did put in flexibility and flexibility due to access, resources, and needs that will change over time, especially due to unforeseen circumstances. That is referring to 14-1 in the first paragraph, last line.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
I had one other concern.
Okay.
And thanks for reminding me. On
Vincent?
table 14-1,
Vincent, can I
our
stop?
community outreach is listed.
Vincent, I'm going to stop you for just a second. For all of us, say your name because everyone's not going to know who we are.
A presenter, hold on, sorry, Pat, we just muted everybody on accident. Pat, can you unmute yourself, please, so you can speak?
Okay. All right, I've unmuted myself.
Can't
Okay.
hear her anymore. Yeah, that was
Okay.
over. Meeting's over.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, everyone, because we all can't see each other or don't necessarily know, we also have people who are with us strictly over the phone. Please identify yourself, your first and last name, and then proceed with your question, please, so that we know who it is for the record. Go ahead, Vincent Valdez.
Like I said, when I was reading the table of our outreach and type of information and top communication tools, I know we've discussed a few times the DMV and at the hospital, at places where people go. Maybe we could have some information and outreach there, and they're not listed on the tables at all. So I don't know if we just forgot to put them on there, or we're just not going to use those forms of reaching out to the community. I know the DMV, you can sit there for a long time and watch that scroll board. It'd be a good way to get some of our information, because the DMV is right inside of our community, and so is Kaiser Hospital, and I'm not sure about the other hospitals if you have those scrolling boards as well. But anyway, that's just one input I wanted to put in there.
Adding it onto our communication tools.
Yeah, and I think the intention of that was that those are the kind of details that the steering committee talked about in terms of subgroups that you wanted to decide based on the information that we're sharing. So definitely that was something that was not forgotten. I think it was these are the type of details that we were hoping the subgroups could get into. But if there is an area that we could put it in, we'd be happy to say that these are the type of examples that was shared, and those are to put those into the plan.
This is Rhonda Henderson.
Hold on, Rhonda. I think David also has a list of people, so we'll put you on the list. And so give us a second, David. Just let me know that there's a next person.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next person that we requested to speak was Denise. I'm not sure if she still wants to speak.
Denise, you may have to unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. No, I don't. Well, the only questions I wanted, because of course I don't agree with anything that you covered. This has been talked about over and over again, and that's why I'm glad that these meetings are now being recorded, so that we don't have we can stop having these kinds of misunderstandings as to what was and was not explained, and what questions were and were not answered. So I want to, like I said, my only questions, I'm going to address this whole document in writing at the next meeting. This is the only thing I want to know is when this recording will be made available and in what form. That's it.
So this is Mark Loudson-Hines with the Air District. I'll do my best to go ahead and answer that question. We are going to, after this meeting, we're going to be working with our IT staff to determine basically the answers to your questions. This is the first of these meetings. This is the first type of meeting that we have now been recording in this system. So there are a number of questions I just don't know the answer to yet. For example, how big is this file? Can we just link that already into our website? So these are the questions that I just don't know the answers to yet. Once we do know the answers, though, to those questions, we will certainly go ahead and post them to the website, and we will send out to both the steering committee and to anyone signed up on the listserv as well. But really what it comes down to, maybe to put it a little more simply, is there are just some straight technical sides of it that I just don't know the answers to at this moment.
Thank you very much, Mark. We will stay informed and make sure that all the steering committee members and public, as Mark has said, will get that notification. Okay, Denise. I'm sorry, we just don't have a better answer for you right at this moment. All right. David, did you have others who were in your queue to speak?
No, the next person will be Rhonda.
Okay, this is Rhonda Henderson, and I was going back to Vincent Valdez's suggestion about outreaching to places where people go, like DMV and other places. All that's still going to be contingent on our stay-at-home orders right now with the COVID-19 virus. So, you know, it's kind of a moot issue right now. And then I'm wondering if, I'd like to ask, that was Mark, will you have a full staff or the right people to produce this recording under the circumstances that a lot of people can't go to work? They're working from their home. Will that delay you or interfere with the recording of this?
Rhonda, that's a great follow-up question. That will, in part, the recording itself is just happening through Skype for Business. So we should have a recording. This is the first time that we've attempted to record a 2-hour meeting as well. So if there's any resizing issues, things of that nature. But as you did say, for the most part, and just for everyone else on the phone's benefit and the webcast, we are following the current orders in terms of the shelter in place. We do have a very bare skeleton crew. For example, Director Alberto Ayala is in the office. The division managers are going in 1 day a week just to make sure that we're taking care of any signatures, things of that nature that we cannot already do electronically. And the IT staff is at a minimum each day just to make sure the servers and the computers are up and running. So that is something that may cause us some slight, if it's really simple to put up and there's no size issue, then it may not be a problem. But if there is resizing or other issues, yes, we may run into some slight delays for those type of reasons. And thank you for bringing that up, Rhonda.
All right. David, did you have someone else in the list?
No, that's it for the list from the steering committee members.
Okay. Are there any other comments from the steering committee members before we open it to the public? At this time, there are no one has stated there are comments. So let's move to the public comment. I see Adrian Wren is on. Adrian, are you able to?
So Pat, I'm just going to just go through this really quickly for public comments. For those who are on the public, go ahead and type in your name, affiliation, and I have a comment in the message box. If you are on the phone and unable to do that, then please email David Yang, dyang@airquality.org with your name, affiliation, and I have a question and comment in the subject line. And then we currently will open the line right now for people who are members of the public to get onto a list, and once we do that, we can go through the list, Pat.
Okay.
Okay, so so all the audience is currently unmuted. So if you would like to be placed on the list to speak, please unmute yourself and state your name and your affiliation. Okay, I do not hear anybody who is expressing that they would like to make a public comment. So at this time, I'm going, on the phone. So I'm going to close the phone portion of that while we are still taking names on the list for those who are indicating that in the message box and or by email. So I'll hand it over to David right now.
Yes. So we have one, Joel Tony, would like to provide public comments.
Hi, Joel. Could you also please announce your affiliation, please?
If you're on your computer, make sure you unmute yourself.
We are unable to hear you, Joel. Are you calling in through your phone or through?
Okay. Oh, she's on her laptop, she says. She's written down. Joelle, make sure that you have unmuted your box.
We have unmuted you on our end already. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a blue button that's the shape of a microphone that you'll have to press to unmute yourself.
It's also been this is Ariel, the facilitator. It's also been my experience that if somebody hasn't done this with their computer before, that there may be, I think we're hearing someone.
No, that was me. That was Pat Shelby.
Okay. Sometimes there's a volume button on your computer that's turned off separately from the Skype volume button that may silence you. So potentially if we're not able to hear you on your computer, you can call in as an alternative.
Joelle, I can see that you did write that you can type it. If you do type it, we will go ahead and read your comment. So for now, David, do you have somebody on the list next? And we'll come back to Joelle.
Nope. That was the only person who had requested to provide comments.
Okay. Okay. So while we wait for public comments from the public, I just wanted to share that again, for steering committee members, if you do have specific questions that you have, feel free to contact me and David. If there's topics that you want, then it would be really nice to know that earlier, so that we can coordinate to get people to outside experts or whoever would be the most appropriate person to answer the question, to be able to coordinate with them so that we can bring those resources and to help answer your questions about the plan. So I do see that Joelle did put in a comment, so I will go ahead and read that. Joelle Tony, this is Joelle Tony with a public comment. She has said, I would be interested in seeing some tangible benefits from the outreach activities.
Joelle, is there a possibility that you could call in so that we could hear? I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. Is that possible for you to call in? Okay. Do you have the number? Okay. She says she has the number. She's going to try calling in. Okay, that's no problem. Take your time in doing that. While we're waiting, Janice, I wanted to circle back. You had asked during your presentation if we had persons' names or with some expertise that may be helpful to us in looking at some of these documents.
Yes. So one specific academia expert that we did reach out to is from UC Davis. He's from the UC Davis Air Quality Research Center. He's the director of that center. His name is Dr. Anthony Wexler. He was able to share that he does have availability to review the camp and potentially answer any questions that the steering committee members may have. So he also wanted me to share that there is a graduate student that might be interested in participating as well. So really, you know, what I posed was there any concern with that?
Okay. Basically, what we're doing and the suggestions we're making are the beginning of a part of that conversation we had about technical advisory group. We'll discuss that further as well. But who are those persons, or what are those names that you believe may be helpful in us looking at this camp? Do I have any feedback from any of the members? I see Vincent. Can you turn your speaker on and go ahead, announce yourself and what your recommendation is?
Vincent Valdez. Yes, I spoke with Dr. London from Davis about suggestions on help, and I guess he's already contacted Janice, so that's fine. And I also spoke with Jesus Hernandez, who's a local EJ expert and well respected in the community, and he has offered to volunteer to be a part of our technical advisory group as well. I haven't talked to anybody from the city planning division, but I will contact them tomorrow, and by our next meeting I'll have someone. I have a couple of business cards and haven't contacted them yet, but I will. So there are a few other areas of concern. We were looking for a health expert, monitoring expert, emissions inventories expert, policy expert, environmental justice expert, and a city planning expert. So help in those areas, and I can type all those in right now if you'd like me to. I will.
That's going to be coming back. We're going to have a little bit more discussion about tag and capture that in a little bit further on in new business, Vincent.
Yeah, but it's okay. I can put it up on the screen for everybody to kind of digest it or get an idea.
All right. Rhonda Henderson, you have a question?
This is Rhonda Henderson. I have a comment about the tag. Will we need all of these experts that he referenced, that Vincent referenced, at the same meeting, at the same time? Or do we need to decide what our agendas are going to be so we can determine what kind of expert we need at the meeting?
All right, that we're going to go into, that's a good question, and we're going to go into that a little bit later under new business.
All right.
Joelle has sent a message that she is had difficulty with her phone trying to get through as well. So we're trying to reach back to her to get that information. Okay.
What about now?
Oh, we can hear you a little bit.
Oh,
You're very
good.
low.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
This is Joelle.
Hi,
so
Joelle.
sorry
Please
for
state
all the
your
confusion.
affiliation, please.
Oh, my name's Joelle, and I'm a South Sacramento community member.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not sure. I had to mute the computer and like try to do all this other stuff, so I'm not sure if the conversations move forward. You were all talking about a tag, but I want to go back to the community air monitoring plan. For some comments on a couple of the elements I have, but I'm just going to keep my comments brief on element 3. I know Vince suggested some changes for the different concerns and the elements, but as far as the health disparities, I think it would be really good for us when you're looking at health disparities to categorize them by race and income as well as location. So if you're trying to characterize increasing rates of asthma and respiratory problems as a concern and a goal to address, that making sure that racial equity and socioeconomic status equity is as a priority when you're creating, for example, a health equity survey or study that will inform your community emissions reduction program after the camp. Did that make sense? So like when I say something tangible, like something that you can deliver to people other than like, oh, did you know? Collecting more data on that. Does that make any sense?
Yes, I thank you for that help with some clarification.
Okay. So now do I put myself back on mute?
Yes.
We are.
So I can answer. I want to just provide a quick comment on that. That's a really good point. But I want to share that the monitoring plan itself is to collect the air quality data to be able to be used in conjunction with everything that you just shared. And so I'm trying to think of ways of how to address the comment that you have posed while currently extending that beyond the current camp capabilities.
Okay. And may I make just one more comment?
Yes.
On element. So at first, thanks, Janice. I completely understand that you gotta walk before you can run, and we're collecting air monitoring data to then use in conjunction with other data to inform our actions later on. But as far as the camp draft document, I think that in element 2.2, that it should be noted that public comment was stifled during the first, during like between month 3 in March and month 11 in November. I think it should be noted that public comment was stifled during this period, which reduced our ability to have open discussion with the community during that time. I think that should be included. Although the process has improved at this point, I think saying that, during these months, public comment was written, not allowed throughout the entirety of the meeting, and instead at the very end, I think that should be something that we included in the story.
So just to provide to provide the process that we have went through in the steering committee meetings. We have had opened public comments period in the on each of the agenda, and we have done that. So we believe that we have opened for public to comment on the topics that we have at hand.
Janice?
Who is this?
Identify yourself.
This is Bishop Chris Baker.
Yes, please go ahead, Bishop.
Is it a possibility to clarify what Joelle was saying, just for clarity, that you can look those up and see if there was a reason for that, or did we get ahead of ourselves, or we're running out of time or something? And just to clarify.
Sorry, Bishop, I'm not really understanding what you mean by that.
If we're saying it was stifled, not allowing the public comments, is it a possibility we can look back on those dates and look at where we were at on those actual dates to clarify with the committee, staff, and others?
Oh, yeah. So if there were any specifics, Joelle, as you're going back through the notes of our steering committee, if you could provide us with some specific information, then we can share that with the steering committee members to consider whether to include any language into the camp. So, Pat, we do have to move forward with time. If there is no more public comments.
Okay, we are going to close public comment.
This is resident. I have a public comment.
Sorry, please identify yourself again.
I'm a resident, and my affiliation is the community.
Your first and last name, please.
No, I'm a resident, and my affiliation is the community. That's enough. The comment should stand on its own.
Okay.
So I have a comment regarding the outreach and education as an item that's listed. I believe that this process assumes that education and outreach will be a component of it, such that it doesn't have to be included as an action item. And so I just encourage the steering committee to consider replacing that with something that isn't business as usual for this process and program. Thank you.
Do you have a recommendation?
I do have a recommendation. It would be to replace that with something else that the community didn't have before AB 617. I can't give you a specific one right now, but I think it would be, it should reflect all the time and effort you guys put into this. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any other public comment? Being done, we're going to close public comment at this time. All right.
Pat, I
Yes.
do see on the chat that Joelle did say that she did hang up on the phone, so she is unable to respond to Bishop Chris Baker's question.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right. We are running low on time. just wanted to go over, we had talked in our prior meeting about how to have our components of our, of our agenda being more inclusive and getting recommendations of what new items coming forward, as well as trying to look at what has been on in our parking lot or has been reoccurring comments that have happened across time. I had sent an email out to folks talking about the new business in an effort to build a calendar of agenda items requested by members of issues that have been raised in conversations and placed on the parking lot. We put several of them on a list: technical advisory group, best practices review, amend the charter, and under the charter, it also included our code of conduct update, steering committee increase of members' roles, responsibilities, attendance, participation, percentage of community member ratio to non-community members with voting powers, agreement, participation. Those came all under amend charter. The other was agenda development, create a more inclusive method, and reviewing the issue of boundary extension, creating a pre-community emission reduction plan or a search exploration group. I also noted that these, much of what we were talking about may take short-term ad hoc committees to bring more detailed information forward to the committee. But the goal is that, one, we've got a poll that's going to go out tomorrow to you. Vincent, you had already sent something in, but we're going to send a formal poll to the members to prioritize those. Give us your top 5. What's the highest priority to what's the lowest priority? They're all important, but how would you rank the priorities so that we could start to look at that? We'll bring that information, we'll get information back to you subsequently, and we'll bring it back in our next meeting. The other is in this new business section, we had talked about at our last meeting when we talked about how issues that are coming forward on the agenda are just not having Bill and myself as the chairs be the filtering. So we're looking at in an open forum that the steering committee members bring the item forward during new business for the initial discussion, the discussion as to who it's for, what it's for, action needed, whatever the relevant issues are, that the individual steering committee member recognizes, requesting the needs to have sufficient information, make sure they bring sufficient information for their proposed agenda topic so that other members can understand its purpose. 3, information sources for the items should be provided. So if you have informational links, if you have whatever supportive information so that members can look up that information themselves as well. And the steering committee members' request should include what action is desired. Are we looking for it a vote, a letter, a speaker? What do we want? And then the steering committee needs to identify what are the priorities. What's the time need or any other constraints to putting that forward on the calendar? Or do we need more information? Or do we need to discuss a matter in further detail? So that was just kind of a recommendation for us to be able to do that, to try and see how that works. And one of the first pieces that we had talked about in our prior meeting was that sort of technical advisory group and what's its purpose? How would we want to do that? How do we envision this? We're not making a decision. There's no vote. This is simply for a quick discussion as to what we would be looking for with that. Do you have comments?
So I see that Vincent has a comment. Yes, I see you, Vincent. David, do you have anybody else that is on the list other than Vincent?
For steering committee members, it's just Vincent.
Okay, so Vincent, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So we originally talked about the TAG Technical Advisory Group, and we were talking about it for a few months, and then the last meeting we had, Earl Whitcomb was in the audience, and that was one of the months we didn't have time for public comment either. He spoke up, said he was representing ECOS, but because there was no time to talk about why he was there, he only spoke about the need for technical assistance with our chart on what our monitors were giving us. And so we looked at the spikes, we looked at them, and that was it. But nobody gave us an explanation of how are those spikes happening, why are those spikes happening. And he said from his professional expertise, he would want to know what times of the day they were spiking, what months, and what conditions created those spikes. And so he reiterated the need just at one meeting of what technical assistance could do to help us understand what we're looking at. I still don't know what I know I asked for those charts and I got them, and I wanted to see the raw data from our monitors, and we saw it, but we still don't know what they mean, or nobody's broke it down, and maybe that's what we could ask them to do for us. Break this down for us. They have offered time to see what our data is, and I know we have experts, and the Air District said they have experts as well, but so we're asking for that kind of information, and so maybe with our own technical advisory group, we can just get that on our own and not have to burden the air quality district with those kind of things. And also the environmental justice aspect of it, Jesus Hernandez is very well known. I've seen him on a different committees, and he's well respected in the community on environmental justice issues. And I think we need another little aspect of what we're doing in regards to the environmental justice issues in the community, because we're not really addressing them. The legal experts, again, that goes to the Brown Rules meeting. I mean, we had all that information on how we were violating the Brown Rules, and I don't think we were, and still don't think we were, after going to the meeting in Davis and finding out other committees were doing that already, and they weren't violating the Brown Rules Act. So those are some of the things the technical advisory group could help us as a committee members and as a committee. Air monitoring, emissions inventory, health experts. We don't really talk about asthma related or health related issues in regards to the air that we're breathing in the South Sacramento community. We're looking at a lot of different things, but the people that I talk to, when I tell them I'm on the steering committee for the Air District, they want to know how it's going to help them. And I don't know where or when we're going to include that into the camp, as far as how we're going to help people who are suffering with health issues in the community. And so that should be one of the things in the camp as well. So those are the things that the TAG Technical Advisory Group can do for us. And we can't set it up in one day just right here. We only got 10 minutes, and I think we got a minute left. So folks, but if we had an ad hoc committee set up, get this group started, and then come present it to the committee, I think it would work a lot better that way. And I'm hoping to have anybody make suggestions in the community. I know the email from Bill had a whole different list of people on the TAG committee as far as business, education, and this. So these were the original categories, and I listed it here in the comments of the ones we were talking about for our technical advisory group. We can expand it, we can add more, or make it smaller. I'm open for everything, but
Vincent,
working on it at an ad hoc committee would be very...
Vincent, this is Ariel. So just to get clear, I think what you're proposing to the group is an ad hoc committee to work further on the TAG offline before the next meeting. I'm just conscious of time. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it may not be ready by the next meeting, but it could be ready in about 30 days, but our next meeting is in 2 weeks, right?
Right.
But getting started on it would be helpful, yes. And yes, I'm asking that we vote on getting a ad hoc committee for the CAG.
And so I'm not sure under this new business piece, Pat, if you can clarify, it's for you all to sort of decide on future agenda items. Is that it? Rather than to vote on things right now.
You're on mute, Pat.
Sorry. Thank you, Vincent. I agree with you, Vincent. That is a piece where we need a little bit more information, and ad hoc would be good. I think there was a mixing of things. We want to get our technical piece, and then there's an issue of best practices. Came up with that. That's another piece, and that's probably another ad hoc group to look at some of those. But that's what we were talking about, how to be able to bring those forward. We're not going to be making a decision tonight, but I think that you're right. This is not going to be ready at the next meeting, but how do we start to build that, Vincent? Yes. So we can come back to that offline about who would be interested in chairing one of the ad hocs, and there have one or two other gather data.
Hi, Kat. The next person who's requested to speak is Denise.
Denise.
This is Denise McCoy, and I'm glad that Vincent made that remark, and I see that we are out of time, which is why I did not go over the concerns that I have about this piece. It simply would not be enough time, so it has to be done in writing. It is the whole emphasis that we've been educated, we have been informed, we have had experts. We have had access to your experts, but in the March 10th meeting, when we were presented with that data information, nobody understood. And there was hotspots that weren't mentioned while we were being presented with this data. This is the whole purpose. And so this is why this guy who I'm sorry, I didn't look up his name and position. There were two of them there. And they're like biologists and stuff, and they're sitting there like, okay, this has not been explained to these people. So for you to say that we've been informed, it's kind of really disheartening, because I have had to go outside and get my questions answered. And so now that I've had this information, these people have answered questions for me, and they've educated me in some way, shape, or form, so that I could actually look at this and make some kind of intelligent, assessment and comment. It's too much for me to address in this time frame, which is why it's not that I'm trying to be difficult or anything. It's just too much to address. So it has to be done in writing, and I want my comments to be part of the CAP. I want the board to see my comments. I want it to be understood what my experience has been throughout this process. And okay. I do want to comment on what Joelle was saying. I know that the bishop was saying, was there something going on during that time, months in which the steering committee was muted? I mean the comments, the public was muted. There is no excuse to mute the public. Anytime that a member of the public comes to a meeting, they should be heard. And I actually brought members of the community to some of the meetings, and because they weren't being heard, they said, well, they must don't care about what I think, and I will not come back, and did not come back. So yes, that needs to be in there. If they were muted from March to November, how can you say that there was community input?
So folks,
yeah. Okay. So
let's try to keep respectful.
So this is what I'm going to say.
I'm going to try to be as respectful as I possibly can while I tell the truth. Tell the truth.
And this is what I'm going to say, Denise. This is part of your written comments that you're going to be making, so that it becomes part of the record. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we accept that, and we all should be making our comments. Remember, so that they are collected. In the interest of time, we've been on here for this was informational in nature. I want to thank the staff for their presenting the overview. Each one of us is responsible to read our documents, please, and then start to make our comments to the camp, section by section. Make sure that you identify what section you're addressing in your comments. And it would be best if they are, if you can put them in writing, so that everybody is clear what you're saying and what you're reporting to them. But you also have the ability to call staff to give your comments verbally as well. Okay.
All right.
Bishop Baker, is that?
And goodbye, everyone.
Yeah.
Before everyone jumps off real quick, if you don't mind, just real quick, this is Mark. I just want to respond back to a couple key pieces that I think that I don't want to leave people on some misinformation before they exit the call. The information that was shared in terms of the data sheet was, there was no data analysis at that point. There was no intention of data analysis on that. That was simply a request by the committee members saying, hey, can we just see some of the raw data? Part of the whole data analysis piece is going to be coming up once we have the camp and once we actually get in the more specific data coming in. I would also remind all the public and the committee members that if you do have any questions on data, you're welcome to reach out to us. I don't believe we've been reached out to other than in the meetings on any data. So I just want to touch upon that real quick. Even in that meeting that where Earl did speak with, and he mentioned ECOS, he's actually also with CARB, is his primary job role as well. And when we had the public comment period there, he didn't ask any additional information. So obviously we always want the public to feel welcome. I know there were some questions early on, just in terms of making sure that everyone had a chance. We did go to note cards. But even when we had the note cards, all the comments were read back out, and the people that wrote on the cards were given the opportunity to speak on that. So I just want to clarify a little bit in terms of there have been some different processes over the time in order to figure out how is the best way to facilitate all the conversations, since a number of meetings have gone long. And I think, we're hopefully getting better at that overall. But with that, there's probably a few more things, but I don't want to bog down into a lot of specifics there. But I did want to touch upon at least that data piece as a question, because there was no intention of data analysis on that at that point. That was literally just a snapshot in time, because it was requested, could we see a snapshot so that we know data is coming in? So I just want to clarify that there was no intention of a data analysis at that point, and that certainly will be part of the overall efforts under the camp.
Thank you, Mark. With that, do we have any last bits of information that we need, Janice, for before our Tuesday meeting?
Hi, Pat. This is David. Rhonda did ask did request to speak. She had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rhonda.
Okay, this is Rhonda. Kind of forgot what it was, and I think it was I was addressing something Vincent said about the community wants to know how our efforts are going to help people with asthma and so forth. I don't think we can answer that question until we get the results from the testing and the data, and then we interpret it. Then we can know what we're looking at. Then we can determine, how to use that data to help people in the community.
All right, Bill, do you have a final thought?
I just wanted to thank everyone for again, their hard work and dedication to this effort. Thank you to staff You guys have worked very, very hard in the background. Just getting this meeting up and running and all the technical difficulties and all the work behind the scenes. Just want to say thank you for your service. We appreciate it very, very much. And we admire all the hard work and dedication that you put to this project.
All right. Janice, do we have any final notes that you need?
So I just want to, what's my next slide? Hold on. Okay, so I just want to recap a couple of things that that Pat, you shared, that we will be sending out a survey to understand the priorities of the steering committee in terms of the agenda items. Like we had presented with you all today, we do really would like for you to reach out to us if you do have any questions about the camp, any areas that you may need clarification. David and I have provided our contact information. We'll send that out again. But the sooner you're able to share with us the areas that you may be having trouble with or wanting to understand more, a deeper dive into it, the better that we can prepare for the next meeting in 2 weeks. Bring in the people that you want us to share information with you all. So again, I just want to thank everybody for their time. And encourage everybody to reach back out to us so that we really can help move this process through.
Janice?
Everybody?
Hello?
Who's speaking?
Janice? Is Bishop Baker?
Hi, Bishop.
Yes.
To reflect quickly back on what Denise said about the public, the one or two individuals, is there a possibility we can find out who they are and let them know that it wasn't our intentions for them not to be heard? And if they have any input, feel free to give their input to either you all or the next meeting, if we can include them, but let them know it wasn't our intention if they was not heard.
Yeah, so I think that question is posed to the people who have expressed that, and so that's a really good point, Bishop. If Denise, if you did want to reach out to the person who did have some questions, feel free to connect them with us and with the steering committee to really make sure that that wasn't the intention of the process.
Thank you.
Vincent had a question, I see.
Just wanted to tell everybody happy Earth Day. Earth Day is April 22nd, and we're going to be highlighting things in the community that have made a difference this past year. And I would like to highlight that our incentive program and how Pepsi is going to have new trucks driving in our community, reducing the air pollution.
Fantastic.
Great.
Happy Earth Day, everybody, and good job.
Happy Earth Day.
So, one more thing, Pat, were you going to do a check-in with steering committee members on the technical, or just making sure with this transition?
I'm gonna do a phone call and email to people to just give feedback on how this first meeting went, where there were difficulties, where we could improve it, what worked well. Okay. Are there any other items? Okay, with that.
Yeah, I missed my Dr. Pepper.
with that, this meeting is adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.